Hey guys, DibtheAwesome here to give you yet another Monster Legends Guides, where we talk about monsters, moves, runes as partners, all that jazz. Today we are talking about Talos, the automation. Hazavi, Hazava, Hazava da da da. I don't think I said that theme song right, but I actually took the time to look at the thumbnail for the video with Skyrim, Talos. Come on. Come on, Skyrim reference. Yeah. Skyrim. Talos was like one of the gods, I believe. So, yeah. Game knowledge, bam. Uh, so, yeah, this is Talos. This is the last Nemesis monster. It gets three forms. It gets the nature weapon and the magic weapon. I'm sorry, this is the metal monster. This is the magic weapon, and this is the nature monster. The nature weapon version of it. All the Taloses are metal based. Hydrotilla was the only one that got the stick and got different elemental typings when he was first released. They'll never change that, I don't believe. What else? So yeah, this is Talos. This is the plain version. This is plain Emic, plain sun. Uh, so yeah, this is pretty much. I don't know if you guys keep up with latest ML news, but it was leaked. There was like a schedule and it was leaked, and apparently this is free for everyone. So even if you did not get a VIP monster, this is free to you. All you have to do is clear the dungeon. That's the only requirement. It is a dungeon. And in fact, all three Taloses are going to be available for a chance to be tamed for free. But you have to clear the dungeons, and the two alternate forms, the two weapons, you need to have VIP monsters, or at least a VIP. I don't know if it's going to be locked for people that only have one VIP, or like they don't have like all three. Like I imagine like at least like the rules usually VIP, and plus VIP. I don't know if that's going to be a thing, but I'm assuming so. As long as you have a VIP, you can enter the other two dungeons when they come out. I recommend, if you, in all honesty, if you have VIPs, I recommend clearing all three dungeons, collect them all. Gotta say you catch them all. And the nicest thing about this, so as long as no other Nemesis monsters appear in the same chapter as it, basically you can clear an entire chapter. I bet nobody even thought about this yet, but the possibility of clearing a chapter of having all three of the same Nemesis monsters, because they do that thing where in Good Legions, for example, they have Hydrotillas, all three Hydrotillas, so you have to have all three to complete that one chapter. For this one, if you have all three Taloses, which is doable because you're getting them for free if you clear the dungeons. And if you clear the dungeons, you can get them for free, and you can basically clean up that chapter that has Talos, said Nemesis monster. I'm really hoping like the metal VIP monster doesn't show in that book, but I'm really excited that you can get all three for free. Today we're going to talk about the basic of the basic ones, simply because he is available for everyone, where you don't even need a VIP. You can just clear the dungeon and get a Nemesis monster for free. Nemesis monsters, VIPs, and team shop monsters, regardless of what you say, they are designed for competitive play. So what does this one really do? This one has the ability, and if you rank it up to, it has a better skill that can enhance this ability. It can disable traits of enemy monsters. So if you didn't get Angelica or Angenica, this is your Angenica. Especially if you rank it up one stage, it totally becomes it at that point. Before we go on, this is just a statement. I don't care if you're running this on your support or your actual Talos, but regardless, you need to run some form of team, either team stamina or solid stamina. So the solid stamina would go on this man, or team stamina would go on your support. Regardless of the two, you need to do one of the options. This monster has high stamina cost, and people are calling it utter garbage, unusable because of this. Really, what they mean is this is stupid because we don't really want to shove stamina runes on it. This means they don't want to take the time to get out of their comfort zones. I will say, you should get out of your comfort zones for this one. I think they're starting to release monsters nowadays where running stamina runes beyond just Voltic. I think they're aiming for like that kind of thing where they want more monsters that run stamina runes other than Voltic. I think they want to kind of express more on the stamina runes. I think that's what they're going for. So I guess that's why they did with Talos. Or it could be the fact it's free. I don't know what determined why he has high stamina cost, whether he was just free. Like all of his forms are free. Or they just want to try, because they're trying different things. They're reducing, chance of denying and all that jazz. So I don't know if this is just a first step towards that new change. But let's talk about it. You guys came here to talk about Talos. Hasafi, Hasafa, Skyrim. Talos, the automation. So power 3,575. This is a pretty substantial amount of power. Not too uncommon with metal legendaries. I do believe Metalhead run this power. So popular metal monsters, I think, run around or just about this power. This is a really high power, above gospel power. The acceptable power for any attacker is 3,465. That's how it's been since the beginning of time. That's how it'll be for the end of time. That's the least, the most acceptable amount, and it's a pretty common amount. So pretty good power. So we can take advantage of this. This scales better with stronger runes. So if you have a level 10 rune, bam, slap it on this man. Slap it on the one you like the most. You have a chance to get all three of them. So slap the damage runes on the one you like the most and take the time to rank that one up. Life is 29,858. This is actually the lowest life of the three. I do believe it's just the lowest base stats of the three. This is basically the lowest stat version of the specific nemesis here. All right, life. I will say this is workable with if you give it a life rune, that's acceptable. I don't see people doing that though, just simply because of the high stamina cost. I can imagine the common builds being strength, stamina, and speed, or 2 strengths and a speed, and having someone run team speed. You can't really run a life rune with this monster. It's just not advised. Like this one just can't do it just because of the stamina cost, the high stamina cost. It would just be really awkward. I mean, feel free to do it if you want to try it out, but I think it just wouldn't run all that well. If you run the extra guy build with this man, like, the strength, life, and speed, I just don't think it would fly. So personally, I don't put any life runes on it. I don't think it would do all too much good. Speed is 3,377. This is a pretty slow metal monster. I mean, in general, this is a slow monster in general. It's not as fast as nowadays stuff. I do believe the fastest one of the three is the nature one with 3,432. So that's a nice. So if you like running fast attackers, this isn't really your forte, but it has some really nice competitive ups that you could probably look beyond its speed. So yeah, that's the thing. Its trait is Artifact. Artifacts are not alive, immune to all status effects, regardless if it's good or bad. You are just immune to everything. You cannot be poisoned, you cannot be given ounces and ounces of life regen, stamina regen, double damage, precision. You can't have anything. This trait basically says you cannot be sick and you cannot be feeling well. So you're just always playing. You're always just not gonna have to worry about anything. The rule of this, the exception of this, is if you're trait disabled. When you're trait disabled, it does cancel out artifact. But then you can have goodies, and then you can have bad things. But basically, you just don't have a trait. So that itself isn't good. But yeah, this trait is the best defensive trait in the game. It protects you from everything. If you're working with comps that just really focus on damages and DOTs, this sells in that. Its ultimate is unable to capture alive, deals insane metal damages to all enemies. Basically, you can do more damage with this skill if you were to run something with magnetism. I will say that is an option for a teammate for this man. If you choose to do that, it just needs to be able to magnetize. So something like, I will say in terms of denier partners, if you run something like Mechamancer, yeah, if you run Mechamancer, let's say if there's 2 books right now, and one of them's like Good Legion's Mechanical, you can run a Mechamancer to produce a magnetism, and you can combo off that. with this AoE or his other metal AoEs. I will say out of the three Taloses, this one has strong base damage, but I do believe the magic one had the better AoEs. He applies sun burning, which is really, really good. I'm going to talk about one skill in skill groups 1, and this is Destination Locator. This is a 40 base damage skill, 28 stamina, 0 turn cooldown. Now, it's odd for me to say this is a recommendable move. It is. I will say, run this if you have it at only level 100. If you only plan on having this guy at 100 for a while, it wouldn't be a bad idea to run this skill, because it's his only spammable low stamina cost skill. It's his only one. This is his only skill that has this stamina cost. Everything else is just really, really high in stamina cost, and it's ridiculous. So this is basically his only spammable skill. So being the fact there is a lot of cooldowns activations, it wouldn't be a bad idea to run it again. It wouldn't be a bad idea to run this skill. Again, if you have this at just 100, if you're not planning on getting this anywhere else, just 100, run the skill. It's just a good idea. Defined Target. This is a extra turn skill, 40 damage, 3 turn cooldown, 44 stamina. It's basically this Destination Locator, except that you get an extra turn for using it. This lets you do combos. It lets you get your other moves cooldown done faster. I will say, if you pair this up with Iron Buckshot, we'll talk about later, strong combination right there. You use Iron Buckshot and then you use Defined Target. Get that basically down to a 1 turn cooldown, and you can use it next turn by that time. For Iron Buckshot, I mean, because it's only 2 turn cooldown. So once you use Defined Target, it would be down to 1. And then by next turn, you can use Iron Buckshot again, which is a really good combo. Create Defender deals very heavy metal damage to one enemy, 1 turn cooldown, 50 damage, 42 stamina. Plain make plain sun. This skill is pretty plain. Just does 10 more damage, and it's cooldown lower than the other one, and 2 stamina cost lower. Personally, I just don't recommend running either of these 2 skills. This one's a bleed that does 5 less damage. This one's, it's plain high base damage, 50 damage metal skill. There's really no point to running either of these 2 skills. Normally, I would go on explaining the advantages of running this one or this one. There's just none. This one hits for 100%, but this thing can't be blinded anyway. So, I mean, you can run it so you're guaranteed never to miss, but it's just it's 45 damage. It's not worth it. It's not worth running. Even for that 5% less chance to hit, it's worth it. I mean, yeah, just don't run any of these skills, man. Don't. Objective marked. This is a special base skill. This is his trait disable skill. 50 damage, 58 stamina, 3 turn cooldown. You run this skill. Like, if he's level 100, you run the skill. That's all I have to say. This does damage, and it disables traits. This is easily his first, like, as you can see here, this is his first major competitive skill, besides the extra turn skill. This is really, really good at, just shutting down a trait, a specific monster you just need to deny next turn. So this combo as well. Let's say you had, like, fighting a Chimeron, and you used one of yours, you probably used, like, your support or something. You're probably running 3 speed rune monsters. You denied the Chimeron, you denied the rest of the monsters with the other deny, or you use the whatever to order whatever it is. You can use objective mark to trait disable Chimeron, and then you can use your mainstream's denier's second deny to combo that and be able to deny everybody, and you won't have to worry about a whole lot of stuff. Downside of this is it's a 58 stamina cost move, but it's okay because you're running the stamina rune, right? So as long as you're running like something like Team Stamina or Stamina, this cost should not be a relevant problem. Golden Proctor. This is a 40 damage metal base skill, 3 turn cooldown, 45 stamina. I'd say if you have this at 100, I'd say you could run it. I'd say it's runnable at 100. If you have this at 100, you could possibly run it. But I don't think it is. Personally, I don't think it is worth running. Because I think the moveset I'm going to recommend you is in terms of like savings, and it'll get the job done. I don't think you need to run Golden Proctor. It deals no DOTs. I think nowadays, in terms of AOE's, I think they have to have something really nice, like in terms of what I'm saying nowadays on defensive teams. There's just too many monsters that are too tanky, and DOTs is just a thing to have for an AOE. It just is, unless you use double damage, and this guy can't really have. So there's no point to running really this high damage AOE because it doesn't do anything else. Iron Buckshot, this is a 35 damage AoE, basically the lowest of the low. It's the lowest of the low acceptable damage base for an attacker, which also procs bleeding. It's 47 stamina, 2 turn cooldown, very good cooldown. You can combo this with the extra turn skill. This is a mandatory skill regardless of what rank it is. I think it's just too good of a move not to have. It's a 2 turn cooldown AoE. I love them. I love 2 turn cooldowns AoEs. I love AoEs that combo with 1 and 2s. I just noticed the Light Monster Ragnell have a 1 and 2 combo AoE, so things like that have that combination is so good. Having AoEs like on an insta coming back up again is so good. So yeah, this is a recommended skill on all ranks. I recommend the skill on all ranks of this form. Right now we're going to talk about the 3 skills and skill groups for Victim Chosen. This is basically stuff you get for 105, 110, 115. So basically, as long as you rank it up, you get access to these goodies. Victim Chosen deals insane special damage to one enemy, requires a cooldown of 3 turns, 59 stamina, 80 damage. This is his burstiest skill in his kit, and being the fact this is bugged, Metal Shrapnel's bug, this is a very heavy damage metal skill, applies blind and metal weakness to everybody. This only applies blind to one enemy. This isn't even an AoE yet, this is busted at the moment, so it's not even worth running. I'd say if you get this to 105 and you're not too much of a fan of Talos of the Sun, which is his best skill, I will say this is his best skill in the entire series, which you probably run if you have it at 105. I'd recommend it anyway, picking up this first. This is his burstiest skill. This is his burstiest special skill. The only downside to running this skill, it's a 3 turn cooldown. All three monsters have access to this skill. That's the only thing that bothers me with this is a 3 turn cooldown. M2 Wyvern actually has a 80 damage skill, and I think it's on a lower cooldown. I don't think it's a 2 turn cooldown. I think 3 turn cooldown. I think it's on 2. So he's not the only metal monster that actually has this kind of base damage for a skill. M2 Wyvern has a 80 damage skill, which is really good. extremely good damage on a 1 turn cooldown and far less stamina than this skill. But this is his burstiest damage skill. If you just go full on 2 damage and a speed, this is recommended to run. Talos is the Sun, disables traits, gives 1 extra turn to itself. So basically it disables all the traits and you get an extra turn. If you're running a stamina rune, you can basically use the skill and then do 1 attack or just recharge. That's the only downside to running this skill. Every single Talos has this skill, and I believe it's one of its strongest moves in its kit. To disable everyone's traits basically means none of them have a trait, and you can do poisons, you can do DOTs, you can do whatever you want to that monster, because it doesn't have a trait. You can do anything. Not having a trait in this game, meaning you dead. If you don't have any form of defensive trait, you have nothing to protect yourself from deny, and it's just really strong. To be trait disabled means it's just endgame. It's ridiculous. This is a really good skill, and let's say if you actually miss something, because this is only 95 accuracy, let's say you do miss a target, you can just do objective mark that next turn and proc it. That's it, you know. I do not know if this covers status. Like let's say you applied it with a move. I don't know if trait disabled denies the immunities. I don't know if it denies the immunities. It denies the trait, but it doesn't deny, the positive effect of giving someone immune to stun. Let's say like someone thinks naturally immune to stun, you apply trait disabled. I don't know if it plays out like if you were to use some monster that gives immunity to stun and applies on that monster. Is that monster now immune to stun? Does that just cancel? I mean, it doesn't remove trait disabled. Because you're just giving a status effect. It's now just it's immunity. You're giving them an immunity to stun. It's not the trait. It's not its natural trait. This disables its natural trait, I believe. But I don't believe it disables trait proc. I mean, like, like immunity to possession, scribes, NAPS, Joust Stars, immune to possession. Those just move like those. Calyx, immune to freeze and stun. I just don't know if it protects them from that. It's just the thing, I just don't know. But I do know it destroys the self trait. Like automation, like mountain trait, celestial, those are just all gone. And to be able to stun those monsters is really, really clutch. So this is the best skill in this kit, so I recommend it 105 if you do get it at 105. Totally run the skill. So I'm going to talk about what you should run if you have it at 100, and if you have it beyond 100, and if you get at 185 or 110, I'll talk about those. 110 plus. I'll talk about those real quick here. For level 100, you should be running Iron Buckshot, Objective Mark, Define Target, and Destination Locator, just for that utility, just for that thing, and your utility pocket. That's what I recommend you run for level 100. I just see this as the best. I think this is like the lowest cooldown, rotation, and utility. You got your AoE bleed, you got your trait disabled, you got your extra turn skill, and you got your spammable move if you get cooldowns activated. Because to be perfectly honest, if this thing gets cooldowns activated, it's not fun. it's just not. Two of your this is an important skill at, disables traits. If that gets cooldown, you're not going to get that. This is your extra turn skill. It lowers the cooldowns on your various skills. So that's not going to be fun if you lose that. So just to have something to do while you wait is very, very clutch. Not doing damage on turn, it's just not good. You should be doing something every turn. That's a really good way to play, to be able to do something every single turn. Now, I don't know if that kind of gunks up defense. If you put this thing on defense, I will say, I don't know how well that it would run on defense, because I don't know if it would just go to Destination Locator all the time, so it's spammable or what. But I will say, if you put this on defense, if you want to be sure it does an AoE, then you can just run Golden Proctor instead of Destination Locator. Just be warned, if you're fighting something like Timeron or something with cooldowns activated, you're just done. he won't move for turns on end, so it's highly advised to run this. If you're running this at a level 100, I think you should run the skill. It's just spammable. It's utilitative. So again, Iron Buckshot, Objective Marked, Define Target, and Destination Locator. If they have this 105, let's say you can only choose one skill, pick up Talos of the Sun, replace it with your spammable skill, or you can replace it with okay, so here's the thing. You can either run Talos of the Sun and replace that with Objective Mark, or you can replace that with your spammable skill. Choose your poison. That's all I have to say. If you have this at 110 and up, I recommend you run instead of, for sure, if you're on the, if you're running this victim, replace the Objective Mark with Victim Chosen, and then Talos is the Sun, and then use Talos of the Sun, and you should replace that with Destination Locator, because at this point it's 110. You really want to take advantage of its high-ranking moves. So if it's 110 and up, you should be running Talos is the Sun, Victim is Chosen, Iron Buckshot, and the extra turn skill. That should be your moveset for 110 and up. If they do fix, in all honesty, if they do fix this skill, if this becomes an AoE magnetism at some point in time, it would be far more worth running than Victim Chosen, because you can apply the metal weakness, and this makes Iron Buckshot hurt more. And it's a better cooldown rotation. It's just a better cooldownage, which is really, really nice. A lot of monsters nowadays can't really be one-shot, and this monster, since you're not really going to, unless you, again, run Team Stamina, I can't imagine you one-shotting things without it. So you might want to run this skill if you run just like a plain Stamina, Strength, and Speed. So I guess it depends on your room build at this point, whether you run Victim Chosen or Metal Shrapnel, one of the two. Again, wait till this move gets fixed. Again, wait till this move gets fixed. This does not do AoE blind and metal weakness like it says. It's just a single target blind at the moment. So it's just a bunch of lies. At 105, you should run Iron Buckshot, Talos is the Sun, the extra turn skill, and Destination Locator. That should be your build at 105, and that's it. Partners, real quick, anything that can pretty much set up damage for him, like magnetizing the enemies, I think is good if you're kind of decided on that route of not team stamina, but just a solid stamina. You need something to bump this guy's damage, because naturally his damage, I think it's not enough. Just at level 100, you do need some prep up damage. Other good partners, things that magnetize in general. Again, Mechamancer, Gangstersaurus. I know this monster's old as dirt, but Stinger 1 can do a magnetizing build. In all honesty, a lot of metal monsters can set up the magnetism combo. That's just a thing they did for a long time. Roxen can do it. Roxen can set up magnetism. I think it would be a good pairing, simply because he can also provide burning. He can provide a DOT that combos with iron buckshot. Let's see here. Pretty much I've just said a lot of monsters that are metal monsters. Because in all honesty, some metal monsters would work really well with this man. Anything that gives stamina back, I will say, if you really, really hate the notion of giving this man stamina runes, absolutely hate it with, the gut of your stomach, you have to run something like Fire Arena or Thedes. You just have to. I don't even think Thedes would be enough at that point to supplement you. Even though it gives you a full stamina refill, that just means you can only do 2 attacks again. If you don't run any stamina rune, period, if you run no stamina runes with this man, you can only do 2 attacks. Unless you run the spamble skill, then you can do more turns than that. But realistically speaking, you only can do 2 attacks, and that's just the rule of thumb. If you're not running stamina runes, or you're not running a energy mask, if you're not running a stamina mask, that's just what you have to do. So that's really it for this video. Overall, since it's a free monster, it's not bad. I mean, it's a legendary. You get it for free. This is available for everybody, so long as you clear the dungeon. Not a bad free monster, I will say that. It's really decent for free. Overall, the other 2 forms are obviously better. That's a given with every Nemesis monster. The 2 alternate forms are usually better than the plain version. I think the only thing that this doesn't apply to is Hydrotilla. I think the plain version of Hydrotilla is just 1,000 times better than the other 2 versions. Simply because you can chain freeze. His ability to chain freeze is actually pretty stupid. If you actually fought a Hydrotilla and you don't have any freeze immunity monsters, and he gets his turns in and he just freeze you over and over again, that's just what it's like fighting Hydrotilla. I do believe the other 2 monsters just run better. That's just a given. That's natural for all Nemesis monsters. Do I think this monster is terrible? No, I think you just need to run him different. A lot of people just think he's terrible just because he has high stamina costs. You need to, as a player, you should be able to adjust the needs for any monster you run. That's a given. If that's a player's given. If you neglect the needs of it, obviously the team won't run all that well, because you're not giving it what it needs. Like, some monsters need specific needs, and this one is one of those monsters that needs specific needs. Again, just run 2 damage into speed, and just run your third monster, run that team speed. It doesn't fly that way. It just doesn't fly as well as you'd want it to, because it needs that extra leverage. It needs that extra stamina to do at least another skill or 2. To get the job done. I kind of think if you don't run, in all honesty, if you're not running a stamina rune with this monster, I kind of feel like the pacing would be like that of rabies. that's how painfully slow the fight would go. He doesn't even just have, like, this guy has AoEs, but even at that point, yeah, the feeling would be like running rabies if you're not running a stamina rune, or just not running anything that gives this man stamina back. It needs that. It needs more stamina, man. It just needs it. It just needs it. Look at this man. Can you really deny the needs of a man with this kind of face? That has the gem eye and really no other facial features. Can you say no to that? Can you? Are you a cold monster to say no to its needs? So as long as you give this monster its needs, it should work well with you. Especially better if you rank it up at least once to 105 to give it Talos as a son. But to be perfectly honest, just save them for the other 2 versions. If you do have VIPs and you can get the other 2, save your Elementium for one of those 2, and run Talos' son on one of those 2. If you want to use this monster for strictly damage, obviously you don't run Talos as a son and just run probably Victims Chosen. Yeah, if you want to just rank this one up. If you love this one, absolutely adore it, and you don't care about the other 2, just run If you just want to do plain damage, Victim Chosen. Have your support run team stamina, or just like have something that gives stamina back, and you should be fine. Uh, I don't think the mask alone is enough to supplement its needs for energy. Like, because people are running like the obliteration staff, the thing that drains stamina a lot. I see that way too much. I don't know if the mask procs first or the staff procs first, but regardless, I really hope the mask procs after the stamina procs, because then you for sure will get your turn in if it's leveled up high enough. I really like the energy mask. I think the energy mask is really good. It also has a trap relic. I'm finding the trap relics to be more stupid. Because like there's one that reduces speed by like 170 or something, and regardless of the amount of speed you lose, it screws up the turn order. Like I've noticed that like on my stream, and then a few fights later, I've just been noticing like the turn order completely messing up, and usually in the enemy's favor. So I'm thinking about running some speed runes on some of my monsters, like speed relics, I mean, on some of my monsters to see if it's beneficial on, if I do that stuff too. I wonder if that's a thing. I don't know if that's a bug or just how the game is whenever it's messing around with the speed, but I hope they fix it. It bothers me. It bothers me a lot. So yeah, that's everything you need to know about the plain old Talos. Talos is an alright competitive monster in the right hands. You just have to be able to make adjustments to make him great. Is he, like, beyond his trait disabled? Is he special from any other metal monster? No. In fact, besides like the one extra turn move, the trait disabled, and the AoE trait disabled, any other metal monster can do his job and probably better. To be perfectly honest, let's be honest about it. Like, besides his trait disabled and his extra turn capabilities, nothing really sets him up. Like, this version doesn't really set him apart from any other metal monster. I will just say trait disable is just a huge clutch competitive move. That's just is really huge as competitive clutch. It's very, very good, and it makes him competitively viable. To have that skill is really, really good. I guess again, yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, that's what it's like, because again, his base stats are no different than a normal metal legendary monster. If anything, it's an old day metal legendary monster. There have been metal monsters that have recent ones that have way better stats than this, but this is like just running an old one with some really clutch competitive uses. So yeah, that's everything you need to know about Talos. Again, I don't think this monster is bad. I think it's usable in the competitive scene, so as long as you build to his needs. If you have the other two, use those. I will say that. Use this guy as pretty much like your decoration or something once you have those other two, if you get those other two. But if not, if this is the only one you get, treat it with love, and it will treat you with love. I'm DibtheAwesome, and I'll catch you guys later.